you remember when we last spoke and we was driving into Bosnia?
Yeah.
We just left the Croatian border.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Last thing that we spoke about.
Yeah, so we spoke about obviously going through the border with Shadow, and just that experience of getting out the UK and having the freedom to travel.
Yeah. Okay, so from Croatia to Bosnia, we never did an update on the Serbian border.
No.
So do an update on that.
Okay, so the Serbian border, that was super simple, getting in from Bosnia to Serbia. We, again, in terms of Shadow, there was no checks, nothing needed, didn't even check any of his passport or anything at all. And I think for us, we went through the first border control, so out of Bosnia straight away. And then we had a little bit of a wait, maybe like a 10-minute wait or so, going into Serbia. But it was super quick, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, not too much to say about it. It was simple, quick, relaxed.
What did you have to prepare for with Serbia?
There wasn't much we had to prepare for Serbia because in terms of car insurance, our car insurance already covers Serbia, so we didn't have to worry about that. And then again, in terms of Shadow, he had everything he needed, so we didn't have to get anything extra for him. Yeah, Serbia was a very simple one. There wasn't anything extra that we really needed for Serbia.
Okay. What was Serbia like?
Loved Serbia. I loved it. It was favourite place so far. Just everything that came with it, with people speaking English, cost of living. It was slightly higher price than Bosnia, but we were in a place called New Belgrade, so it was like the city, so things are always going to be more expensive. But yeah, just the accessibility for everything was on your doorstep, and you know, even being able to get things delivered, like I could get All Shadows raw treats delivered, I could get loads of like herbal teas delivered. There was just so much around, and very, very quickly I felt, yes, so at home. Really, really enjoyed Serbia. How about you?
What are the top 5 standouts for Serbia?
Top 5 in terms of my top 5 best things there.
What stands out to you?
How friendly and welcoming people are. So like we needed to go and get a service done on our car, and we got recommended somebody by our Airbnb host, and he was amazing. He was like, just wanted to help, couldn't be like more welcoming. And then even when I needed to follow up with him about something else, again, he was so happy to help, like direct me to somebody else. It was just really, really, yeah, the friendliness and the welcome, like how welcomed you feel is really big. Secondly is how dog friendly everywhere is. That was a really big thing. Like we went in plenty of different little cafes and coffee shops that were happy to have dogs. So yeah, it was very dog friendly there. Accessibility, 2 things. Everything was very, very accessible. You know, even if you get in the car and you drive 5 minutes, you've got everything right there. But even if you didn't want to drive, you've got everything within walking distance. You know, we'd have a spa, massage, salon place, literally a 2-minute walk. There's coffee shops, there's grocery stores, cinema, restaurants, just everything very, very close. I think that was the third one. Fourth one, good weather. Even towards the end when it was getting much colder, it was still really sunny. I think there was a couple of days where it wasn't like overly hot or overly sunny, and it was grey and a bit wet, but we were there for 2.5 months. So yeah, overall it was it was amazing with the weather. And then number five, I can't think of a fifth one. Yeah, I'm not sure about a fifth one.
So what have you mentioned?
So how friendly everyone was, dog friendly it is there, accessibility to things, and the weather.
Yeah.
They're my top 4.
Okay. Accessibility, the weather. Accessibility, the weather, friendliness.
And how good it is for dogs there, like everywhere accepts dogs.
Okay. And the 90-day rule.
Yeah, so similarly to, well, it's most of the countries we've seen actually. You obviously have the Schengen zone, which is made up of around 30 different countries. And in there you can do a maximum of 90 days in any 180-day window. But with the Schengen zone, that includes all of the countries. So obviously you can't go to Spain and then to Portugal and then to Croatia 90 days each. It's 90 days in total. And then obviously went to Bosnia. That had its own separate 90 days. We didn't stay there for 90 days, but that had a separate 90 days. And then Serbia was the same. That had another 90 days in a 180-day window. So I think we did like 82 days there. We like to always give it a few days leeway just in case. But yeah, we did around 82 days. And I think it means February we can go back sometime. That will be like when our 180-day window starts again.
Okay. What are some advisories for people that are doing what we're doing?
Advisories.
That'd be driving with a dog through Europe and staying in Airbnbs only, right now at least.
So be really clear on what you exactly want, and by that I mean list out your top priorities of the things that you want to be around or have accessibility to, because that's one thing we're noticing. We loved Serbia because it brought us everything we needed. Where we've come to now, it's not so much the same, and the energy's different. And as much as the Airbnb looked quite nice, we're really learning to as much as we do dig into the area, really dig into the area and really get clear on exactly what it is that we want, so that we can have the best experience. One thing I would say is just if you're driving in the car, even if it's a short journey, be so prepared. We always make sure we have a little cool bag, and that's always full of snacks and loads of water and club mates or whatever else we're drinking at the time. And that's so important because when we left Serbia, we were stuck at the border for around 4 hours just because it was busy and they were really sort of looking into everyone and stuff like that. So it was it took a very long time. So we obviously always make sure Shadow's got food, we always make sure he's got water, everything is accessible in the car. So I keep everything we need right there so I can easily grab it. And yeah, so that would be a really big thing. And plan your journey. When I say plan your journey, when you're doing a long journey, like we just recently did one that would have been like 16 hours in total, and so we planned to stop off and we spent some time in Budapest in Hungary, and it was great. We stopped off, we went for a walk, we went for some dinner. Like again, it was a dog-friendly restaurant. It was really, really nice. So yeah, just before you leave, or the passenger when you're on the road, plan a country to stop off in on the way to like just break up your journey a bit, because that's been like super helpful for us, I'd say.
Yeah, if your priority is to cover through traveling as many places as possible to get a feel for it, then yeah, you can choose your route, because you can learn a lot about a place simply just by driving through it. You don't even need to get out the car. You can just drive through and get a vibe for it. So with us leaving Serbia, oh, there's Sam. We're gonna have to come back to that. With us leaving Serbia and coming to Belgium,
Yeah.
what was that like?
So, like I did just mention, we did spend a lot of time at the border we chose the border going from Serbia to Hungary. There was loads of different borders that we could choose. I was very prepared that because Serbia is outside of like the Schengen zone, apparently from what I heard of a lot of other people's experiences, when you're trying to get back into the Schengen zone, they're much sort of hotter on finding out about you, having a look in your vehicle and things like that. So we had a very, very long 4 hours at this border. We got through the first border, which would have been out of Serbia, so it would have been the Serbia to like out of Serbia side, and then you go through the second border, which is then going into Hungary, and that was the one that we were set up for a very long time. So it just sort of is what it is. When you're there, and that's why it's so important to make sure that you are prepared and you do have...
Don't be one of those cunts. Don't be one of those cunts at the border, because no one prepares you for what it's like. You shouldn't buy into the fear-mongering of other people's experiences, because it's other people's experiences. If you go to a border, what I ensure that we practice is you bring a high vibration. You can't go to a border and your face will give it away. And even if I look like a miserable bastard as I'm driving right now at 100 miles an hour, when I get to a border I can switch on and you're looking as if you haven't seen your family in a year. And that's the kind of eminence do you want to come off you as you pull up towards the people. And when you got Shadow in the back who's super excited, he diffuses some of that policing energy. And you could have a terrible experience, but I guarantee it comes if you emanate some kind of energy or a lower vibration that makes them feel that they can give you a hard time. So as tangible as that may or may not be, that's an important factor, but you don't want to be one of those individuals. There was an old man with a fat cunt wife, I just say it for what it is. The lanes aren't set up in the most optimized way, so everyone's figuring anything out. Like, it doesn't flow intuitively. So you might realize that you're stuck and wedged in a lane for the passport queue that isn't you. And you don't realise that until it's too late. So there's going to be people swapping lanes, and you don't want to be in that mindset as this old guy that I'm referencing, where he was bibbing at people. No one's going anywhere, and he's bibbing at people, getting annoyed, getting out his car to a certain extent. And you just don't want to be that guy, but you've got to anticipate that those people are going to be there. There was, whether you call them beggars or not, that's another important factor. Just, if you don't want to engage, don't engage. But if you want something, carry. It doesn't necessarily have to be change. I know people that use loads of things, and it's the stuff that you can give away to beggars that you might feel more comfortable with. But that's going to happen. But 4 hours, you have to anticipate. Just okay, I'm in this car here for 40 hours. I said this before in the other video. You have to anticipate it's going to be 10 times longer than it's actually going to be to get through it. But the only reason, and this is why I want to wrap this video up, the only reason we're actually leaving Serbia and why we've come to Belgium is because of what?
Because of going back to the UK for a couple of days to get the MOT done on the car. So when we were in Serbia, we got a service done and we got everything else checked, and that was all good. But our MOT expires in the end of November, and because it is a UK registered car, you can't get it done outside of the UK. So there's a couple of things that I learned from that. One is, in hindsight, we should have just re-got the MOT done before we left. We just bought the car literally a few days really before we left, and it had 7 months or so, 6.5 months MOT left on it. So it definitely wasn't something that even crossed my mind. But obviously in reality, if we had got it done in June, just before we left, we then wouldn't be in Belgium right now. We would be able to be back in the surround. We'd probably be in somewhere like Croatia right now, in those surrounding areas. So that is one big thing I would say, that is, if you are planning on doing some travelling and you don't know how long you're going to go for and things like that, even if you do have all this time left on your MOT, just get it redone. Get it redone for that peace of mind of knowing, like, okay, even if I am only planning on going away for 4 months, 5 months, at least I know I've got a year's MOT just in case. So that is something that was really big. We did have a look into some different avenues of getting visas and being able to import the car and stuff like that, but for where we're at right now, in many different aspects, it just didn't feel in alignment, and it was actually quite a lot of work to be able to go through that process. And so a lot of it would have meant we would have had to go back to the UK anyway to start a certain process. So yeah, for me, it was like, it just makes sense to come to Belgium, be able to have our Airbnb here, and then I can pop back to the UK for a few days to get the MOT done.
So close on this, let them know where we're going now, what we're doing, what your plan is, and our next step moving forward.
Right now, in this very moment, we're driving to Brussels Airport to go pick up Sarah. She is one of our friends who's coming to stay with us for a couple of nights.
She's the first.
She is the first person to come
Shout out
and see
to
us.
Sarah. Shout out to Sarah for being the first friend of ours to actually pluck up the courage, because I don't know whether it's because the UK has the stickiest floor, but no one wants to leave, and people are hesitant to leave. And I wrote a song about this last night, actually. Well, at least I wrote a little hook. But Sarah's the first one to come out and see us, which I want to be the first of many. I want to facilitate the space outside of the UK, because you have to become actually quite experienced in traveling, driving around, renting Airbnbs, seeing all the different cultures, that experience moving around can't be shortcutted, and you have to become somewhat savvy, earth savvy, traveling around. And Sarah, I hope, is the first of many people that are going to break the seal, come and visit us, and allow us to do what we do, which is to facilitate space, host, educate, share good experiences, cook good food, and depending on what the subject matter is, if it's the boys, if it's the guys, not to say that it can't be with the females, but it's about training, it's about earning money, it's about making sure that we're ready, fight ready, war ready. And for you, Amy, what would you say you're most looking forward to with Sarah coming over, then what the plan is and our next step?
Most looking forward to having a cuddle with her, because we have great cuddles. just nice to have some of that comfort from back in the UK, because I definitely don't want to be in the UK. I definitely don't want to be in Belgium, because it is very much like the UK. Like, you literally feel like you're in the UK. It's definitely not somewhere I want to be. So, but it's nice to have something from home, like there is that comfort coming over. So, yeah, really grateful for picking up Sarah and seeing her. And then next steps are, I'm going to be driving back to the UK with Sarah, so we planned it really well so she could drive back with me. Should only be sort of 6 hours door to door, I'd say. I'll go back for a few days, see my family, get the MOT done, do a couple of other little bits that I need to do back in the UK, and then come back to Belgium to be back with Charlie and Shadow. And then we are heading back to Croatia next. So yeah, we were looking for such a long time. Like, I have searched so many properties because it's going to be over Christmas and over New Year, and I really wanted something like special, especially because pretty much everywhere in Europe doesn't have great weather over the Christmas period. At least it's not hot and sunny for the places that we've got like choices to go to. So to compensate for that, I really wanted to make sure we really had a nice property, and we just kept getting pulled back to Croatia. There's lots of large villas there, and the other night I went back on and I was like, I'm just going to have another little browse just to see if anything else is there, and this villa came up and I was like, wow, like it had like 95% off or something. I think it is usually like £18,000 a month or something like that, and I was like, wow, this place is amazing. So messaged her, got in contact with the woman. The price was actually the wrong price. She tried to give like a special discount, but it didn't work out right. But we had a good conversation, and we have managed to secure this villa for a really, really good price. It's sort of like a 4-bedroom villa, multiple levels, swimming pool, heated all year, very modern. Really, really looking forward to it. So we were in Belgium for 4.5 weeks, but we have decided that we're going to cut that down by about 10 days. And make the trip back down to Croatia, so we can then be there for my birthday, for Christmas, for New Year, and then into February, when we'll then decide where we're going next.
Yeah. So, if that aligns and you're curious, where do we go after that? What do we do next? You want to stay engaged with us? Wherever this goes, it'll be in the description somewhere. So, yeah. Top of mind, Amy, what do you want to plug? Where can you be found? Where can people find you?
So people can find me on Instagram at EarthWomen, and then just keep an eye out for what we're doing. We have some very exciting things coming, being put together to be birthed right now with Wisdom Culture. And Charlie, you can say where all of that can be found.
If you're interested in more general, what am I doing, you want to connect, go to wisdomculture.net. Or if for any random reason, which would be unlikely, which would be a 0.1% chance, that you're an organization or a company making money online that's done at least 30k per month, you can go to wisdomculture.biz to find out what I'm offering business owners right now. Or in general, you can always just find everything at wisdomculture.net anyway. So I'm going to close out on this. The reason we do these videos isn't for content or marketing. It's for the few people that stumbled across these videos. As this continues to increase, the amount of people that want to leave the UK, that want to drive, like we said before, going through it, there's a rite of passage, there's a duty to leave behind the documentation to help other people do it effectively, avoid mistakes maybe, save money, whatever it looks like. There's so much value when you stumble across people that have done it or are doing it, and you can ask questions. So people prevail, and that's why we should stay connected if you're someone that's doing the same thing. But other than that, Amy, you can end this video and then we'll give Sam a ring back, see if he picks up.